it's also the case that Arsenal didn't look quite at 100% either against Southampton, and again they went a goal down in that game.
Well, again, it's a situation where Arsenal know exactly what they need to do this season. They've done it for the last couple of seasons. I think the first season was one where they tested it out and they was very happy that they can compete. Last season, very disappointed they didn't finish it off when they played so well to get to where they got to. And this season, they've started the season knowing that they're not giving anything in respects of margins. They know what it takes. You know, last season, in the second half of the season, Kels, it was so like 19 games, 16 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss against Villa, and it was enough for them tonight to not win the league. So I think that they're going out there as poorly as they've played against Southampton, and they're trying to get it done at the moment, especially without someone like Martin Odegaard. You know, you're trying to get it done without someone like Martin Odegaard, but like Southampton came and they made it very difficult, like everybody's going to do. And I think they overcame it again. They overcame it again and beat them. And that's what you've got to do at this stage.
Yeah, just playing through it and making sure they take all 3 points.
Yeah.
And Bukayo Saka is hitting incredible numbers for Arsenal this season.
Well, the thing is that he's somebody that...
Which you have passed on, but I'm just going to let you do them because
no,
there's
Kels,
loads of them.
It's just that he's consistency.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You know, he's constantly being compared to different players and what they're doing. But like his consistency since he's been in the team has been amazing. I think at the moment, out of the top 5 leagues, he's got the most assists. And people do ask about, well, how good is he? How good? I'm not really fussed in that respect, Kels, because on a regular basis for Arsenal, from the time he's been in there to this point, and remember, he's only 23, he's still delivering, like, top performances in respects of creation and even defensive work and everything what he does for the team. One thing that we were worried about at Arsenal is the amount of games he plays, and hopefully he doesn't break down. But when you look at him, he's doing everything that we all expect him to do, and that's why maybe it's underrated.
So he's created 27 chances, 12 of them big chances, which means that his expected assists at 3.16, so assists that are expected to lead to goals, 3.16, but actually it's led to 7 goals. So it's the quality of the ball that he's putting through as well, and presumably the quality of the finishing at the end of it as well. And you say, or what people will question, where does he sit and what's his sort of position in world football? I suppose the other way of looking at that, and maybe a more constructive way to look at that question, is what's next for Bukayo Saka? Because every player, as you say, he's only 23, is going to be developing at that stage.
Well, what's next for him is obviously to try and finish off the season, win titles for Arsenal, win Champions Leagues, win medals for England. That's what's next for him. I think what we're seeing in respect to the way he plays, we know he's got a signature move. He'll go on the outside, he'll cut inside, he'll curl it in, but people can't stop that. He'll cut inside, he'll play 1-2s, but people can't stop it. The main thing for him is to keep working on the good things that he does. And then, obviously he's added goals to his games. He's adding more defensive to his game now, because obviously Arsenal are being a little bit more defensive, trying to hold on to what they've got to a certain extent. But for him, every aspect of what he's asked to do, he does it. He does it well.
And he is sort of looking, as you say, he'll be working every day on trying to improve it. But where he is right now is so crucial for Arsenal. It's just whether, I don't know, maybe those players that he might want to be mentioned in the same breath, they have moments, they have games, they have occasions that kind of stand out. He's still got plenty of time to get one of those as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy conversation, because I think we're all agreeing that he's one of the best players in the Premier League. It's just this conversation, is he world class or is he not? And I think the only thing is, he's only 23, so he's got years ahead of him to become world class. If that's what when you talk about world class, you're talking about Ronaldo's, Messi's, Maradona, Pele, players of years
pretty
gone by.
much generational talent.
You know
we
what I mean?
have Messi and Ronaldo at the same time.
I don't think Saka can't be that in the years to come. If as Wrighty says, he picks up trophies, wins the Premier League, wins the World Cup for England. He's world class then, because he gets his hands on the silverware.
The way you said it there makes sense, because that's what you expect. When you watch the World Cup, that's what you see. You've seen world class players, and Zidane and Kaká and all those players. You've seen them, and they've won the World Cup. It's the way that people are throwing this about, like he's not world class, he's not world class. It's really it's just a clickbait kind of conversation. It's so annoying, it is.
Right, we'll leave that one there then. The sort of usual contenders are in the mix at the top of the Premier League table. Liverpool are the ones who lead the way at the moment. There's only a point in it between Liverpool, City and Arsenal. And they've had a relatively gentle start to the season in terms of their opponents. They haven't had one of the big boys yet, unless you count Manchester United, which I'm not sure.
Kelly's just trying to talk them down, isn't he?
No, it's not. What I'm saying is it's actually, for a new manager coming in, and with the expectations of previous seasons coming in, it maybe feels like this has been a really good set of fixtures to try and adapt to what Arne Slot wants from the team.
But the thing is, Kels, it's fantastic. He can't choose the fixtures he gets, but for him to come in to a club like Liverpool with Klopp leaving, you know, ideally, if you could get fixtures, then you'd want these ones. But you can imagine, Kels, it's been brilliant what he's done. What is it, 8 out of 9 he's won? So it's magnificent for him to start like that. But you can imagine if it doesn't start like that for him, where the pressure's coming from. And what I like from him is that he's playing it down, because he doesn't want to be remembered for the best start to a Liverpool manager's career, I should say, because he knows what's to come. And this is what I really like about him. He knows what's to come. He's got players in his team that know how to tread the balls. So he's somebody that's kind of just continually just knock the next game off. That's when we should start judging Liverpool, when they do start getting... Because what happens if they go on a run, they're still winning these games. People are going to have to start to believe.
This is the thing, when you look at what they've got between now and the next international break for Liverpool, this is when we're going to be able to work out and assess more accurately what the rest of their season is going to look like, because they've got Manchester City in there, they've got Brighton a couple of times who've got really good performances up their sleeve. They've got big European games to come as well. So this is where they head into that crunch time, and they're coming up against Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen after having had opening conversations with him to become their new manager. So it's going to... sorry, not Manchester City. You've got Arsenal sort of coming up in there. Chelsea, who may have drawn at the weekend and have been a bit hit and miss, but have also got really good performances in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to credit him for, considering the defensive solidity that he's brought in, the way that the team play in rest defence, you know, when they can attack, how they're all aligned and assembled on in the team so they're not counter-attacked to oblivion. So he's obviously brought in a lot of, restraint. But I think there are also some question marks of whether or not they're generating enough chances, considering how much attacking geniuses they do have up front and all of that talent up front. Are they generating enough? But the question is exactly that. It's too early, because they've had... I mean, Wolves would just die for this run-in, right? But it is an easy start to... But it builds confidence, and then it allows these players to start finding their feet, and it's a gentle start. But you're right, we get to judge this in the next lot of games.
I think it's good, especially for someone like Gravenberch. In the way that he's adapted to that position, these games has given him the confidence, and he's now got the momentum where he's outstanding.
He keeps getting man of the match.
Outstanding performances, and what we're seeing is that obviously against maybe that calibre of opposition, his true abilities are coming out. But what he's doing to show us is fantastic. The way he can dribble out of trouble, he can pass out of trouble, he can stop, he can break up possession, and then he can progress the ball. You know, these kind of games will only give him confidence for the games to come. Yeah,
and those bigger games that are coming in, you know, as Mina said, it is a change of style under Arne Slot, and there is going to be this kind of, I don't know, more patience required in terms of watching this Liverpool team, because it's not chance after chance after chance. I wonder if that might be a more useful approach against the bigger teams, actually, if that approach might look a little bit stodgy at times against kind of teams that Liverpool are expected to blow away, but might actually be more fruitful against the...
Well, it sounds like they want more control under the new manager. I think controlling games rather than just, you know, heavy metal chasing after everything. When they get the ball, there's more control, you know, more sort of possession, keeping the ball and building through the thirds. But what I like about the manager as much as anything, Kelly, is his personality. You know, this time, well, whenever Klopp announced he was stepping down, it was like alarm bells was going off around Anfield, around Liverpool, around the Premier League, saying this is going to be a Man United Mark II. It's going to be a drop-off after Klopp. It's going to be a nightmare for the football club. But what Slot has done, he says, you know, I'm not going to change too much. I've got a squad of unbelievable players here, and again, it's about the man management, getting the best out of these players, because he's got world-class players, you know, and he hasn't changed too much. And again, go back to the game at the weekend, they should have been out of sight. I know we had that controversial sort of thing that Van Dijk got hold of Guehi that could have, you know, lost 2 points, but Jota had 2 or 3 chances. He should have been more clinical. So if you're going to be critical, they should have took more of their chances and put Crystal Palace to bed earlier.
You know, as well, Kels, is that I'm pleased for him the way it started, because if it doesn't start like it has gone for Arne Slot, especially with Virgil van Dijk's contract, Mo Salah, what's going on with Trent Alexander.
Trent, yeah.
If you're starting to get into the situation where he's losing games and these things are happening with these great players coming to the last year of their contracts, you can imagine what the noise will be like. So it's really helped him as well, this kind of run.
Actually, Trent's interview was very telling in the sense that he spoke about having all those one-on-ones with the coach to develop that defensive side to his game, which has always been criticised in the past. I mean, he's a brilliant player, but having that to add to him, to his arsenal, what he can do as a player, is remarkable, because then you're saying if you're also working on the small weaknesses in certain players, you're giving that time in this run-up when it is easier fixtures, then you have more time to devote to your players to develop that. Then when it becomes harder, and then you can start seeing the development in Trent and how much better he is defensively, what other players are also developing under him. That's the difference between a great coach who can last in Liverpool or one that will leave soon.
So if we're saying that sort of title challenge is going to be between those three teams, and not necessarily starting to work out who's quite going to finish where, then there is, of course,
Arsenal and Liverpool to escape liability for huge interest on owners' loans after City's legal case. Ruling declared it unlawful for borrowings from shareholders to be excluded from PSR calculations, but this will only apply to future deals. Arsenal and Liverpool will escape immediate liability for millions in interest on loans from their owners, despite Manchester City's landmark legal case over Premier League rules governing them. The ruling in City's legal battle against regulations governing associated party transactions apts declared it was unlawful for so-called shareholder loans to be excluded from the world's richest league's profit and sustainability rules (PSR). The likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, who owe their owners £259 million and £137 million respectively, now face being beholden to commercial interest rates on such loans under those rules. However, the Premier League has confirmed this will only apply to shareholder loans provided after the rules are changed in the coming weeks, sparing City's title rivals an instant hit. Chelsea, Everton and Leicester City, who have either previously failed or faced challenges complying with the Premier League's PSR rules, are among the other clubs with large loans from their owners, which account for £1.5 billion of £4 billion in total borrowed by clubs. The vast majority of such loans are interest-free and were not made subject to the same fair market assessment that applies to sponsorship deals like those City have with Etihad or First Abu Dhabi Bank after clubs voted against including them in the APT rules. That will now have to change, with teams facing either being forced to pay commercial interest rates to their owners or having the theoretical equivalent figure added to their outgoings purely for the purposes of PSR. The move could make it harder for clubs who take out shareholder loans in future to comply with those rules versus those, such as City and Newcastle United, with benefactors for whom money appears no object. According to teams' 2022-23 accounts, financially stricken Everton's shareholder loans total £451 million, although it remains to be seen how much of that could be written off or converted to equity if a planned takeover of the club goes through. They and other sides are also allowed to deduct funds attributed to infrastructure projects, such as stadium builds, from the losses within PSR submissions. Of the remaining clubs with shareholder loans, Brighton and Hove Albion owe owner Tony Bloom £373 million, Arsenal's equivalent loan stand at £259 million, Chelsea's at £146 million, Liverpool's at £137 million, Leicester's at £132 million, Bournemouth's at £115 million, Wolverhampton Wanderers at £65 million, Brentford's at £61 million, Crystal Palace's at £38 million, Nottingham Forest's at £23 million, Aston Villa's at £10 million, and Fulham's at £1 million. Of the 20 clubs in the Premier League at the time, only City, Newcastle, Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham United and Southampton did not have any shareholder loans. It remains to be seen whether the impending rule change will deter owners continuing to fund clubs via shareholder loans as opposed to through equity injections. How long Arsenal expect to be without Kai Havertz after the striker pulled out of Germany squad with knee injury? Arsenal are confident Kai Havertz won't be a long-term injury absentee after the in-form attacker pulled out of international duty. The Germany forward has pulled out of his country's Nations League fixtures against Bosnia and Herzegovina and Holland due to a knee issue, raising concerns about the 25-year-old's fitness. But Havertz's knee complaint is not thought to be serious, news that will ease any concerns over a long-term layoff. The Gunners travel to Bournemouth immediately after the international break, and it remains to be seen whether the former Chelsea forward is available for the trip to the South Coast on October 19th, particularly with a Champions League tie versus Shakhtar Donetsk and the visit of current leaders Liverpool on the horizon. Havertz has been a key performer for the Gunners this season, scoring 6 goals in 10 games so far. Arsenal have a number of injury concerns heading into the international window. Captain Martin Odegaard is a long-term casualty with an ankle injury, while Ben White is suffering with a groin problem that has ruled him out of the previous team's previous 4 matches. Jurriën Timber and Oleksandr Zinchenko are also carrying muscular problems.